Welcome everyone to the NoDQ.com live recap of Saturday night's main event for May 24th, 2025 on NBC and Peacock, the third Saturday night's main event since the series made its return. Big night, a lot happened on this show. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. Thank you all so much for your viewership and support. Chat room, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the show. Shout out to Michael, who sent in a $2 super chat, said, I divorced my wife for this super chat. That's bad of you, Michael. Why would you do that? Divorce your wife for the super chat. I can't believe you would do that. But anyways, thank you, Michael, for tuning in. Much appreciated. Much love to you. You're crazy, but thank you so much nonetheless. All right, let's get into the show. Saturday night's main event. We had Joe Tessitore doing the introductions for this one as the wrestlers were seen arriving to the building. Jesse Ventura was back for this show, and I do have something to say about Jesse. Stay tuned for that. He did make a couple of appearances throughout the broadcast this evening. Now, a couple people that I know were at the show tonight. Gino was there. Also, Matthew was in attendance. I am going to try and get Gino on in a little bit. I know he's trying to get out of the arena, and that might be a process, but perhaps before this stream ends, we will get him on. Let's talk about the opening match, CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. This was a fun opening match, fast-paced. I notice with these Saturday night's main event shows, they tend to work at a faster pace, I think, to draw in the more casual viewers. A lot of ads on the show, too. Maybe they just do the faster paced matches so they can have more ad time. Who knows? I did enjoy the match. It was fun for what it was. Everybody was brawling. Order got restored. Then Breakker sent Zayn over the announce desk with the flying clothesline off the apron. Then after the commercial break, CM Punk tagged in and he cleaned house for a while. He even busted out a code red to Rollins. Then Breakker provided a distraction. Rollins hit Punk with a pedigree. And then Sami Zayn came back in and he was tripped by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman provided a distraction, and while the referee was occupied with that, we had the return of big Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed, we haven't seen him since he injured himself doing that tsunami off the top of the War Games cage back in November. Bronson Reed showed up. He tackled Punk through the barricade. Zayn was distracted. Bron Breakker took advantage, pinned Zayn with the spear. And then after the match was over, there was a tease that Bronson Reed was going to fight Bron Breakker, but then Seth Rollins came over and hugged Reed. Reed shook hands with Bron Breakker. The three guys raised their hands with Paul Heyman. So Bronson Reed is officially the newest member of this faction, the Dangerous Alliance, whatever they're calling it. We were speculating about it for a while, who might be that new guy. I like it. I'm all for Bronson Reed being that guy. I figured after that tsunami, he's going to be a made man in WWE to take that kind of risk on the show and get hurt from it. I'm a big fan. I know Rollins and Reed have their history, and they even acknowledged it on commentary, but Rollins at the end of the day is he's a businessman. Shout out to Building Nexus, who sent in a $5 super chat, says, what if the Bloodline reunites again versus Seth's group at Survivor Series? That is a possibility. I could see that happening. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins definitely have some unfinished business. We'll have to see what they come up with, because you would think Seth Rollins' group is going to be in that War Games this year. And if it's against Roman Reigns, maybe Roman Reigns does bring his bloodline back together one more time. We'll see. And after the match was over, by the way, CM Punk attempted to get involved and attack them, but he got taken out with the tsunami. I liked it. Nice start to the show. Bronson Reed coming back in a significant way. Next up, we had Zelina Vega defending her Women's United States Championship against Chelsea Green. Last minute addition to the show. Match was very standard, your typical SmackDown match, even though it was for a championship. Chelsea was bringing the fight to Zelina, attacked her right when the match started. It was back and forth a little bit. Zelina blocked the Unprettier after being powerbombed on the floor. And then Zelina went for the 619, and she got caught in the ropes doing it. And she basically kneed Chelsea in the face. Chelsea's knee got busted open. She was bleeding from the nose. And then the Secret Hervis attempted to interfere, but that backfired on them. And then Zelina was able to pin Chelsea with the Avalanche Code Red. The finish was good. The 619 was a bit of a mess, but it was a nice finish. Match was okay. I'm sure people are going to continue to say, oh, look, Zelina Vega doesn't deserve it. She screwed up in this one, busted open Chelsea. We'll see how long the push continues. I'm not against the push for Zelina Vega. First of all, I think her music is terrible. And, they're really trying to push her as this underdog now who overcomes the odds, similar to a Rey Mysterio. I don't have a problem with her being pushed, but I feel like they still have some work to do when it comes to her presentation. And, they can't really have her be losing matches like she did this past Friday on SmackDown. We had several people shown at ringside. Jimmy Hart was there. Luke from the Bushwhackers and Vikingo from AAA was there. And they officially confirmed that Vikingo will face Chad Gable at Worlds Collide. And I'm thinking, what about El Grande Americano? Where is he? Maybe he'll work a match as well on the same show as Chad Gable. By the way, happy birthday to Hamp Connell, who is in the chat room. Hope you're having a great birthday. I'll do my best to make this entertaining for you. I'm not going to sing, but happy birthday. They announced the next Saturday night's main event, which will be same day as AEW All In, but All In will be in the afternoon. Saturday night's main event, obviously, in the evening. And they announced Evolution on Sunday. Evolution 2 is official, all women's pay-per-view, Sunday, July 13th. And they announced, they didn't say the date or the time, they did announce an NXT Great American Bash. All three events are going to be in Atlanta. And I'm wondering if they're going to put that damn NXT show directly against All In on Saturday. They didn't say the time, but that's my presumption that they are going to put that NXT show directly head to head with All In, just like they're putting Battleground against Double or Nothing. All three events will be in Atlanta, which of course will fuel the speculation that this will in fact be the Bill Goldberg retirement match. We'll see. Bill Goldberg did say it was going to be in the South. I'm a little surprised that he would have his final match be on Saturday night's main event and not SummerSlam. But if Goldberg wants to go out in Atlanta, then that's what he's going to do. But yeah, now that we know it's in Atlanta, I really feel like Goldberg will cost Gunther the world title in a couple weeks. But we'll talk about the world title in just a few moments. We got to talk about the other world champion, John Cena, going up against R-Truth. And this wasn't even a title match. Kind of a waste of time. I think they went about this the wrong way. This did not need to be a match on any show. This should have just been John Cena beating the hell out of R-Truth, same way that Steve Austin did to Jim Ross all those years ago. We got R-Truth coming out there dressed up in the Cena clothes, except he had the name Ron Cena, coming out there with the music and everything. It was funny, but I think they should have just had Cena beat him up on a SmackDown and did something else for this show. Just my opinion. Match itself was very basic. R-Truth managed to counter out of the AA and then did all the signature moves to Cena, the 5-knuckle shuffle and the AA, but Cena kicked out. Truth put on the STF. Cena got to the rope, and then Cena took the championship, was going to use it, but handed it to the referee. However, when the referee was dealing with the title, Cena gave R-Truth a low blow. So he had to cheat to beat R-Truth, but I guess John Cena just does what he wants. And John Cena then won with the AA. The crowd was chanting, "You can't wrestle. Yes, he can." And a lot of people were really cheering John Cena. I just feel like if they had done what I thought they should have done, just had Cena beat R-Truth to a bloody pulp when R-Truth was just trying to be his friend, I think Cena would have gotten heat. He didn't get heat here. They were cheering him at the end, and actually you could hear people chanting, "Thank you, Cena," as he left. So it's not even working as far as him getting heat goes. He's still being cheered. Yeah, they missed the mark on this one, I think. This was kind of a waste of time. I mean, John Cena only has, 20, 30 appearances, and, you wasted one of them on this. I don't know. All right, let's move on here. We should have Gino in the video in just a few moments, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's talk about Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, steel cage match. It was a good match. I will say that it was a good match. Now, listen, I love Jesse Ventura. He's one of the all-time greats. Big fan of his work over the years, but as much as I like to see him for nostalgia, this was a little bit rough. Somebody, I think it was Ian, but I've seen a lot of comments on social media. He was basically, somebody said this and it just caught fire, I think. He's Grandpa Simpson. He's Abe Simpson from The Simpsons. He's out there, old guy, rambling about stuff. He was talking over Lillian Garcia. By the way, Lillian was on the show as a special attraction ring announcer. Lillian was trying to do the introduction, and Ventura's talking over him, or talking over her. He was talking over the other announcers too during the match. And The problem with Ventura, in my opinion, is that he's old, for one thing. And the other issue is that he's very dated. His style of commentary just doesn't fit in with today's WWE product. It just felt so awkward when he's out there talking with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. And he was complaining about the cage match. And he said that back in the day, in the 80s, NBC would not allow cage matches, which was a crazy thing to say considering that they had cage matches in the 80s that Ventura did commentary on. But enough about Ventura for now. I liked the match. I thought it was pretty good. Priest was able to hit a South of Heaven fairly early on. McIntyre kicked out of that. And then Priest attempted to climb over the top of the cage. McIntyre caught him, did a superplex. McIntyre hit him with a Claymore. Priest kicked out of that. And McIntyre also used Priest's own South of Heaven chokeslam, but Priest was able to kick out of that. And then we had steel chairs that were brought into the ring. And McIntyre set one up in the corner. He tried to do the Claymore, but missed. And then Priest hit him with the chair, used the chair on him, and then gave him the South of Heaven chokeslam. Then he busted out a move from Edge, and they actually mentioned Edge on commentary. He did the concerto. First time we've seen a concerto in a while. And of course, Damian Priest has the history with Edge. Priest gave him the concerto and then walked out of the cage. This was a weird finish, though, because Priest was walking out and people were chanting one more time, and he looked over, and I thought he was going to go back in and do more damage, but then he just walked out, and the crowd seemed a little bit confused by this. Jesse Ventura was freaking out. He did not like the fact that Priest walked out of the cage. He wanted Priest to actually climb over the top of the cage like a real man. He was a coward for using the door. It was a little silly, but the finish was a bit weird. I did like the concerto. I don't know why he just didn't walk out. The standing there and hesitating and then just walking out. It flattened the end a little bit. There wasn't much of a pop for the end, but I did like the match. I thought it was pretty solid. Jesse Ventura's commentary, I do think maybe brought it down a little bit. Why would Priest need to climb over the top? A win's a win. Jesse Ventura is the biggest advocate of that. But then again, he's also a heel. He's supposed to be a heel. So he doesn't like that Priest took the so-called easy way out. What's funny is they were doing the walkouts of the cage back in his day too. All right, let's move on to the main event, and then we're going to get Gino on. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. It was fine. Jey Uso did a cool thing. He was doing the yeet with the fan, and the fan wanted a hug, and Jey was going to walk away, but then came back and gave the fan the hug. That was cool. Jey's an awesome guy. The match itself was pretty solid. Logan got in a lot of offense. He did a blockbuster. He came over the top with a crossbody. But then back in the ring, he went for a lion salt. Jey got his knees up. And then Logan ripped off one of the turnbuckle pads. Jey ended up being thrown into the turnbuckle pad that was exposed. Logan hit his knockout shot. However, Jey was able to kick out of that. And then Jey came off the top with a frog splash. But then John Cena ran down. Earlier, after Cena won his match, there was a little backstage confrontation between him and Jey to set this up. Cena came out there, pulled out the referee, and then he attacked Jey. However, Cody Rhodes made his big return after being gone since WrestleMania. Cody ran out there, took out Cena. Logan Paul attempted to use brass knuckles on Jey, but Jey countered him with a spear. Referee got back in the ring, counted the 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso officially retains the championship despite all the shenanigans. And then after the match, Cody got on the microphone and called out John Cena. He challenged Cena and Logan to a tag team match against himself and Jey at Money in the Bank. And that was the end of the show. Good match. We officially have this tag team match now set up for Money in the Bank, which means no Travis Scott teaming up with John Cena. I wonder if this was the plan all along, or if they got cold feet on Travis Scott. Maybe Travis Scott is going to be in Money in the Bank. I mean, I'd be fine if he wasn't doing anything, but I'm not sure where this leaves Travis Scott. I'm not complaining, though. I'd rather see this tag match than the Travis Scott one. I mean, I get why WWE would do that, but hey, this works. Tag match, and I don't know if this is going to set up Cena versus Jey at Night of Champions. We'll see. But yeah, it was a good ending to the show. I enjoyed it. Overall, I thought Saturday night's main event was a pretty good show. Not stellar, but I liked it. There were a couple of big moments on the show, like Bronson Reed coming back and Cody returning. All in all, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. It was an enjoyable show. Not too much to complain about. The Tampa fans were loud and enthusiastic. I like that venue. It looks like a smaller venue, and I think that worked well for this show. It had a little bit more of an intimate vibe than some of the larger arenas. And of course, I like all the retro stuff. Yes, there were a lot of commercial breaks. We're going to get Gino on here in just a second. Gino was at the show, so everybody stay tuned. He'll be on in just a moment here. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, when do you think John Cena versus Cody Rhodes 2 is happening? If I had to take a guess, it would be SummerSlam, although I have to wonder, where does CM Punk fit in with the John Cena feud? And, when is Cena going to drop the title? I mean, you would think they're going to do a really big Cena match for SummerSlam. I would presume it's either Cody Rhodes or CM Punk, one of those two. All right, let's go ahead and get Gino on right now. Gino is in his car. He just left the arena. Let's see if we can get him on. Hopefully his connection's okay. Hello, Gino.
Hey, Aaron.
How's it going?
Hey, dude, that was a lot of fun for 2 hours of wrestling for sure.
All right. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear you too well. I heard a little bit of that. So go ahead and just tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Just sum up your thoughts on the show.
Yeah, I really liked the crowd energy from start to finish. I could tell that the crowd was in it. Obviously, you can hear that my voice is a little shot. It was a lot of fun. Not everything that I predicted happened, but that's okay, because the story that they told, having Cody come back, was awesome. It didn't kind of go down the way I thought. Having Cena come out to the main event was something I didn't expect until they kind of gave us that little tease halfway through the show. And then it leads to Cena and Logan versus Jey and his buddy there, and I'm just over the moon about how much fun that was. It was totally worth the under $200 I paid for that, for sure.
Now Ian wanted to know, how big was the crowd pop for Gino? It was loud on TV. Or how big was the pop for Cody? I'm sure you got a big pop from Matthew.
Yeah, all the no DQ fans were swarming me. It was crazy. Actually, Matthew just found my car right now. So
Oh,
he's
hey.
here.
I'm exhausted, but it was fun.
All right, Matthew,
Oh,
let's
man.
go ahead and get your thoughts. Gino just gave his overall thoughts. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, just your overall thoughts on the show.
Overall, I thought it was fantastic. It was worth the price. My only letdown was the Chelsea and Zelina match, which there was a lot of complications. And then there was this massive, almost 30-minute break, which I'm guessing something went wrong with the match. And then they just stalled for time. But the crowd was red hot. We were chanting for Cena. We were chanting for Seth. 90,000 yeeting. Cody showing up. Bronson Reed. It was. I wish I would have had my no DQ shirt, but I mean overall it was just fun, and even with all the car troubles I've had over the last 2 weeks, it was worth the price of admission. And if a Saturday night main event comes to your location, I would recommend going to anyone.
There you have it.
100%.
So, how was the Cody pop, guys?
Massive.
Yeah, it was loud. You could tell, like the crowd kind of knew that he was gonna eventually come out, and we're checking our watches. We got like 2 minutes, 3 minutes left, and they squeezed a lot into 3 minutes, and it was just we didn't expect Cena to be there, so we got Cena, Cody, and all that stuff wrapped up into it.
And then they announced the Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
Which, as long as it doesn't involve Travis Scott, I'm okay with Logan Paul and Cena versus Cody and Jey.
Mhm.
Are there any other thoughts either of you have about the show? Anything you wanted to throw out there to the viewers?
I just wanted to say that I was really happy that we had it in this location. There wasn't a bad seat in the entire arena. You didn't have like most of us. He couldn't see the screen. I could barely see the screen. My buddy could barely see the screen, and it didn't matter. It was close enough to the ring in the 200 section that we were all in separately.
Yeah.
That we could. It was almost like we were in 100 level right there. Like I loved that.
And the energy, the moment a chant started, it vibrated the entire arena, and you didn't know where the chant started, and they just kept going, and it was great because everybody got into it. Didn't matter if it was Cena, let's go Cena, Cena sucks, Cody Rhodes, everybody singing the whoa. It was it. I said earlier, it was intimate. That's when wrestling is at its best. Everybody felt like they were involved, and there were no empty seats.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys could hear the Ole Ole chant for Sami Zayn, but that was started by yours truly. So if you could hear that, that came from me. So
Now, how did it come out on your? Oh,
you good?
how did it come out on your guys' end? How did the crowd sound?
They sounded great. They were heavily invested. What was your guys' reaction to the end of the cage match? Because on TV, the end felt a little bit flat when Priest walked out of the cage. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, a lot of us were chanting "Go back in" or "One more time," and yeah, that I love the match overall, but the ending was flat because it's like he just stood there and then just walked down, and and then they tried to do a stretcher angle that I don't think you guys really saw, but then they walked throughout, so I don't know what they're planning from this.
I will say, it looked like Priest was having a crisis of conscience. Should I take the easy way out, or should I go back in there and just pin him because he was knocked out? I almost would have rather him done the good guy thing and walked back up the stairs and got the win the righteous way. But like you said earlier, Aaron, a win's a win, man. Like take those W, especially against Drew where he doesn't have a lot of success. Like take the win. Um, the only thing with the concerto is usually the chair is facing the other way, so I wasn't sure if it was going to get that loud pop when he hit it. It did, and Drew wasn't moving. I was like, yeah, it's a work, but still, like, I was like, dang, bro, like that's, Drew's great. Drew's one of my
Well, a
favorites.
couple of people behind me are like, are they doing a double turn? Could we see Drew start going babyface now and Priest go heel? But WWE needs more. It's something me and Gino were talking about earlier today. Is WWE needs more solid heels, and right now Drew's one of the best heels they've got. So I don't know if they were just teasing something or if they're just trying to give Drew or Priest more character. But overall, the match was great. But yeah, the ending kind of fell flat with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, did you guys consider Priest to be a coward for walking out the door instead of climbing up and going over the top of the cage?
I will say, Priest wrestled more like a heel in this match than Drew did. So if that's what they were trying to achieve with the double turn, like I was very much like, I mean, it's cowardly, yes, for a babyface to do, but at the end of the day, like he beat him down, he walked out of the ring. I would have rather him climb the cage or make the pin because that's just what you see with good guys. But how often do you talk about dumb baby faces? No, Drew, if Priest was supposed to be a baby face finishing this match, then he didn't come across as dumb. He came across as very smart. He didn't bring the chairs in the match. He just decided to use them because Drew brought them in. And like, I don't have a problem with it necessarily, but if he's supposed to be this super good guy, like that's probably not how a good guy would finish the match.
I do wish we'd get a good old fashioned over the top win. I don't know the last time we've had a cage match in the WWE where somebody's won by climbing over the top. Or even I think in AEW, I think everybody's either pinned or walked out. And I kind of miss the old school climb over the cage.
Yeah, I agree on that. You know, sometimes you don't even need the door. You just let them get in there. Nobody can get in. The only way to win the match is to climb over and get out. But I did want to ask you guys about the women's match. So first of all, first part is, what did you guys think about Zelina's 619 that busted up Chelsea Green? What was the crowd vibe to that? And also, how did they react to her entrance in general? Like when she came out there with that music, was there any pop for her?
There wasn't much for Zelina in my section. A few people cheered, but most of the match was more for Chelsea. And then that 619 kind of just killed the whole vibe of the match, at least where I was sitting, because I had a pretty rowdy group with me. And yeah, when I kind of feel bad because I got a picture of it, and I think that's when they were like, okay, we need to end the match now because something's going wrong. And somebody behind me was like, Zelina's not paying attention, or she's too caught up in what she needs to be doing next. And it threw the whole match off. And then I'm not sure what they were trying to do with Piper and Alba. They were sitting there waving, looked like they were waving flags or something. It was hard to see. We were paying more attention to that than the final sequence.
I'm just gonna say, I don't know if it's just the Latina superstars or not, but these or no, because the Street Profits also have it. You've talked ad nauseum about the lack of quality with the entrance songs. When you have like words like Selena Vega or We Want the Smoke, and then you do like this slow build up to the drop of your song, it makes no sense. Like if your song's gonna start that way, just start it that way and then lead to the drop. You have one drop to start it, like a glass shatter, and then you're like, it's just poorly put together, the entrance music. And I think that along with the fact that nobody seems to really care about Selena being champion kind of adds to that. Like you said it last night on your recap, like more goes into it than just a theme song or just the wrestler's ability or whatever. Like it's got to be the whole package. And yeah, Selena is, she's gorgeous. She's getting good work in the ring, but like more, and I'm happy that she got the mid card title, but more needs to be done for us to take her seriously. Otherwise, just keep the strap on Chelsea. She's got the gimmick. She's got the secret Hervis. Like this whole pledge your allegiance thing doesn't really work unless she's the United States champion. So I would probably just rather it kind of. I was pretty disappointed when Zelina ended up winning the match, honestly.
Yeah.
But
A lot of people were in my group too. A lot of people wanted Chelsea to win.
mhm.
It's nothing against Zelina, but Chelsea's the more established character. She's the full gimmick. There's a reason why she's one of the most beloved characters on SmackDown right now.
All right, last one for you guys. The vibe for Bronson Reed's return, that felt like a pretty significant return, and he's now part of the group with Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. What was that like being there in the arena for that?
So, as somebody who, when we did the who do we think of the third member is going to be, like, one of the names I had mentioned was Bronson Reed, but I was like, but like, they're going to have to explain why he beat the crap out of Seth, and now Seth wants to bring him in. I'm sure they're going to tie it to the War Games match with the Bloodline and be like, you went against Roman Reigns. I respect you for that. I know the power you can bring because you destroyed me with 7 tsunamis. And the timetable made sense. His injury was like a 7-8 month recovery. Here we are right now, like, boom, and I love it. I love Bronson Reed. They're gonna be called the Bronze or something like that when him and Bron Breakker eventually tag team and probably win the tag team titles when Seth goes for the World Heavyweight Championship. But the crowd was awesome. Usually when you're watching on TV, they don't give it away. You kind of hear the crowd notice that somebody's coming through. I was disappointed in myself that I didn't notice,
Yeah.
like, any of the people who were coming through the crowd. But it was a lot of fun, a lot of advancement for storylines. It wasn't a throwaway anything. I mean, you could argue the Truth match was a little throwaway, but him coming out to Cena's music, doing Cena's moves, I mean, that's what you wanted with this match. So, I mean, I just had a lot of fun with
Yeah.
with every decision they made, honestly.
And I was telling Gino, I really think, yes, it's Paul and Seth mostly, but I think really Paul is setting up, you know, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. They are the future. So I think eventually Seth is going to get turned on by the two of them. But yeah, I admit I was so caught up in the ring, I didn't see Bronson Reed until he literally plowed through the barrier with Punk, and I'm like, wait, who is that? And then I'm like, that's Bronson Reed, and everybody was kind of shocked, but then everybody went nuts, and of course we're chanting one more time for the tsunami, and then seeing the spear at the same time, and it's great, and I think these are two guys that Paul can really help get over, and that's what I'm excited to see what he does with them.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you guys for stopping in and giving your thoughts on the show. I'm glad you guys got to meet up and had an amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll see you back on one of the panels coming up soon. I'll let you guys go. Have a safe ride back home, and we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks so much, Aaron. We appreciate it. No DQ Galaxy. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
All right. So on that note, I will go ahead and wrap this video up. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, as well as Gino and Matthew, who were there at the arena in Tampa, chiming in with their opinions. Make sure you guys give this video a like and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest wrestling news and rumors. And I will do my quick plug. 2 new shows coming to NoDQ this Tuesday, May 27th. Roundtable and Wrestling's Hottest Audacious Takes. That will be on Tuesday. And then the No DQ review will be on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Have a great night, everyone. And don't forget, I will be back Monday morning, midnight, technically Monday morning, with AEW Double or Nothing thoughts. Stay tuned for that. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.